there's a very easy concept that helps me a lot, and I want to share it with you because I'm hoping it will help you too. It's come through in 3 different ways. 1 minute matters, 1 moment matters, because I don't like time. So that kind of got translated into 1 moment matters. And it actually has morphed into this choice matters. So write that down. This choice matters. Every time we think, thoughts come to us and we think, the choice we make in that moment matters. What we want to do is become very conscious of those choices, because what happens is we become immune to it. It just becomes second nature or habit or patterned. And we want to become very aware of those little micro choices that we're making in our thought all the time. We're making choices all the time. So this choice matters is a concept that will like exponentially propel you forward in your experience. If we become aware that this choice, this one little tiny choice that I'm making is going to make a difference, we pay attention to it. If we have the understanding that that's true, well, we know that that's true. When we actually step back and think about it and go, really? You go, yeah, that's true. So every little choice you're making matters. And no, this is not meant to be burdensome. This is not meant to be overwhelming. This is not meant to be, holy cow, now I have to think about all of that too. No, because the process of sort of moving spiritward in our thinking is a very natural process. And the thing that would get in the way of that is the habitual thinking to choose other, the habitual thinking to choose material sense, because that's what's in your face all the time. And so the easy way out is to just choose what's going on with the 5 physical senses. That's the easy way out, because that's what's available all the time, every day. And it's what we're habitually used to doing. So it takes that being conscious, being present in the moment. You hear a lot about being present, right? There is only now. Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, good book. If you haven't read it, I suggest it. The power of now. This moment matters. Okay. So when you're making the choice, when you become aware, because that's kind of the first step, to become aware that, oh, this choice that I'm making in this moment matters. Once you become aware that you have the choice and that each little choice does matter, then what do you do with it? What do you do with the choice? What am I choosing? Where am I going? So we've talked a little bit about the fork in the road, about, okay, you get to that fork in the road where you can choose love or fear. You can choose, fear or faith, right? That's another way of saying it. You can choose spiritual man or mortal man. You can choose Genesis 1 or Genesis 2, which is the same thing as spiritual man and mortal man, right? Well, the spiritual man being Genesis 1, because I did it in the other order, I think. Anyway, so in that moment, choosing what you know to be true in the absolute realm of spirit, choosing your highest self, your highest and truest self, which is the only self. The other is the illusion of material sense. It's the illusion of the mortal way of thinking based in fear and separation of the false ego. And I know we go over this a lot, but it's at the very premise of what we're doing in metaphysics. It's at the very premise of this science, that there is no life in matter. That's a very bold and radical statement. There is no life in matter. And to grasp that concept in its entirety, in one sort of, it's like eating a Big Mac in one bite. It's so breaking it down to this choice matters. Breaking it down to, in this moment, am I going to choose? When I was falling over and passing out in that recent story I told, I had a choice in that moment. That one little choice that I made a huge difference in my experience. It kept me conscious, for one, and it allowed me, every time I dealt with that really extreme vertigo, passing out thing, every time it would come up, I had a foundation to stand on, because I'd made my choice from the first instant it came into my thought. I was not going to give it power. I was not going to make it my reality. I was not going to say, oh yeah, wait, I have to consider this. This is really powerful. This is really scary. None of that got to have a space in my thinking, because from the very first time it suggested itself to me, I said, no, absolutely not. I don't care how loud you scream. I don't care what you think you're saying about me. It's not true, and I know it's not true. So anytime it tried to very aggressively suggest itself, I was able to stand on the foundation that I'd built by making the choice the first time it tempted itself to me, or it tempted me to take it on and make it my problem and make it real. Because it's not real. It's an illusion of material sense. It's not real. And that's what the ego and mortal sense would try to convince us of. So in that moment, this choice matters. So even if you don't understand it, and this is probably a very key thing for all of us, I include myself, for all of us who are in this sort of way of understanding, we're in the process of understanding. It feels like a process, right? We're the process of letting go of mortal sense of things. When we're in this process of letting go of the material senses, we are supported. We are supported by the Christ, truth, love, life, the eternal, ever-present, absolute fact of man. We are supported by that, because that is always present. So if in this moment you fear that you don't quite understand that whole big concept, just know that just by stating it, the admission to oneself that man is God's own likeness sets man free to master the infinite idea. The admission to oneself. It's not saying you have to know it and go teach it to everybody. You just have to admit it to yourself. So in that moment when I was going down, I just had to admit to myself, nope, I'm God's likeness. I'm God's perfect child. I am cared for. I am whole. I am complete. I am expressing divine mind. Mind is never unconscious or limited. Anything I could grab onto, any truth that I could grab onto in that moment, whatever little feather of a truth I could grab in that minute was enough. And that's what I want to encourage you to take on and to know and to realize. It doesn't take much. It just takes a willingness to choose in this moment. Don't put it off. Don't think you don't know enough. Don't beat yourself up for not doing it perfectly. Just admit it to yourself in this moment. And when it keeps coming up, keep stating the truth. Don't give in to the illusion. Don't start to get swayed by the insistence of mortal, elusive consciousness, which is not true about you. It's not your thinking, because you are a reflection of the divine mind. And good thoughts are your natural state. Good thoughts of health and wholeness and purity, all of that. Spirituality, understanding. The thoughts that are you're limited, you're in pain, you don't know much, those are the illusions of sense. That's the mortal view of things. We're choosing the spiritual view. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. And I know that sounds like a joke, but it's actually true, and it gives you the method by which we are doing this. So this choice matters, and the way you proceed from the choice continually going back to your choice of spirit instead of matter, this is important. The admission to oneself that man is God's own likeness sets man free to master the infinite idea. It doesn't say, to kind of get it and sort of do okay with it, to master the infinite idea. That's a promise. That is a quote, I should give credit, from Science and Health by Mary Baker Eddy. And she demonstrated this so completely based in what Jesus demonstrated and studying his work. She demonstrated it so completely in writing this book. It's like, I trust her. I trust what she has said. I trust what the Bible says because Jesus demonstrated it. The prophets demonstrated, like they proved it and demonstrated it. This is not mysterious ooga booga, like, ooh, magic. No, it's science. It's law, spiritual law. Okay. There is another, this is actually another quote from Science and Health. We must realize the ability of mental might to offset human misconceptions. We can realize the ability of our mental might to offset the human misconceptions. So just the concept that we are able to make the choice in this moment, that we are able to make the choice, just accepting that as truth about you, you are able to make the choice, right? That is an ability of divine, godlike man to make the choice, the ability of mental might to offset human misconceptions and to replace them, those misconceptions, with the life that is spiritual, not material. That's a big deal. So, two things, this choice matters, and you have the ability, you have the mental might to offset the mortal and human misconceptions, because in our experience, it looks like just a human misconception. It doesn't even look as bad as mortal. It looks like just, oh, well, that's just a bad thought. Doesn't seem like a big deal. And we're apt to kind of let it be just kind of hanging out there. I would encourage us all to not be, I don't want to say lazy, but to not be casual about it. Don't be casual about it. Be intent about it. Have clear intent that this is your path and this is what you are doing, and you are being disciplined in your thought. This is not a lazy science. This is not one you can kind of sit back and go, it'll be whatever it is. Complacent is another good word. You don't want to be complacent. So, okay, God said I'm done. Let's bring it in. So as you practice this, as you focus in on the little choices you're making. As you let go of the material choice and you grab onto the spiritual choice, you'll start to see the evidence of the positive effect of that. As you do this consistently, moment by moment, you'll start to see and feel the effect of it. This is not just, oh, this is kind of a nice habit and a nice little practice I can do. You'll feel the effect of it. You'll start to feel healthier. You'll start to have the right ideas that you need more quickly. You'll start to feel more connected to the divine. It's something that you can feel. So the effect of it is actually amazing. And it is much bigger than we could ever imagine. Because when we practice this consistently, and we're not complacent about it, we start to see and feel the effect of this practice. And that's why we are here, to practice, to do this, to like have fun with it and go, wow, this gets to be fun. It gets to be easy. It gets to be, oh, this is who I really am. This is kind of cool. So I encourage you to look at it today, like really focus in on this today and look at each little choice you're making. And are you leaning more into the material sense of things, or are you leaning more into the spiritual sense of things? Because it's that line upon line, it's those micro adjustments and micro habits that when we focus on, everything just goes exponentially faster, like light speed. It's so exciting. I'm goofy, I know, but that's why you love me. And that's why I love you guys, because this is amazing. And I'm really grateful that you're here. And if you are a VIP person and you haven't made your appointment, make your appointment, because I just took on 21 new clients. My calendar's getting fuller and fuller. And you guys are my priority, just so you know. Just so you know, you're my priority. I will always put you first. Just saying. All right. Love you guys. See you tomorrow.